Indeed they are, and look, again, BLG with an unprecedented finish to the split, but will it be enough to topple JDG's? We're getting pick ban. JDG on blue here, Lyric, which we know has been the preferred side in both of these patches now. As BLG toppling red, are going to start with the Rakan, the Xayah ban there, the Kai'Sa ban, rather, leaving bottom lanes taken away with Annie on top by JDG.
Yeah, and it seems like JDG are really like throwing the gauntlet to Yagao. So we're highlighting solo lanes, saying, hey, you know, some of the old meta staples you're proficient on, but are you going to pick the Jace? Are you going to pick the Tristana? Because it looks like all these things might just go through here. BLG, like we said, have been really leaning on things like that LeBlanc ban, so we're going to see if they keep it up here. Even if they, don't ban it out, the mid lane pool is already very open. Knight's going to be able to get his hands on something aggressive, so now, with so many strong picks open, the Renekton, the LeBlancs, what did JDG go for? But it's straight to the LB.
Again, you were saying there's a lot of respect played on this, but BLG, without the ban away, putting the Maokai instead, makes me beg the question, Lyric, what do you pull into it? Is it a Jace angle? Is it a Tristana angle? Both are now open.
Yeah, I definitely think either one would be fine. I'm curious to see what Yagao is more comfortable on because we haven't seen either one picked up in playoffs just yet. I was wondering if maybe they'd go for something like a Renekton here as well. 369, when that one was open in their last series, was really liking to pick it up in the game that they lost against LNG. He still was the one really performing on it. So with the Sejuani coming out, I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up with a Jace here. Renekton, like I just said, another possible option. Or if you want to get your hands on an early AD carry, because Kai'Sa Xayah really have just been the talk of the town on this patch.
True. Xayah, great point.
There's just so many power picks left open. There's just so many.
This is what we talked about. This is what we talked about, whether it's the power picks that they can be utilized by both these teams, or if it's just the fact that there is so much available. BLG end up locking in the Renekton. There's one of them against 369. But as you were saying, that bot pick, that Xayah, is left and available even without the Rakan. Something like the Rel is still available here if they want to lock in the 2v2.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either because JDG really liked using that as an early flex, right? They'd pick it up early. Both Kanavi and Missing are able to play it. But the fact that Renekton is being shown, it seems like maybe leaning in a different direction for now. I don't expect this one. I think K'Sante would do quite well in their comp. 369 has been relegated to just the tank role all split long, even if we know he's able to get his hands on these champions. And there we go.
There it is.
He's just going to bring it out straight away. The signature Gragas pick. Like I said, if you missed that last series, 369 absolutely took over.
And he always does. I think since Kai'Sa said he couldn't play Gragas, 369 has had a passion and a fury to prove otherwise in the LPL. But now that gets locked in, Lyric, my biggest question is about jungle here for BLG. What they look for. Because as an option, you already know what's going top side. Mid's going to be the other thing. Excuse me, the Sejuani's already there. Mid instead, the Azir, which has also been a priority.
Yeah, so wanting to get their hands, having a bit of that scaling there and available to them. We're going to see how he's able to contend with the pressure that Knight's able to put on early on in the lane. And now it's kind of interesting, right? Because for BLG, knowing that JDG don't have a jungle just yet, I wonder if they opt into that Rel ban that we were talking about, or if they themselves want to pick it up on 4, and if they have an idea of kind of how they want to play out that 2v2. And for JDG, for you, it's, trying to take away, I think, some other AD carries. We've already seen things like the Ezreal really coming a bit more into prominence lately. Obviously, there's a lot of like dashes and things that can get on top of your backline on the side of JDG. So I think that can be an idea of where BLG are looking. Varus, another champion we know is incredibly strong right now. But BLG, Elk's only played it once in the split, so we'll see how comfortable he is bringing it out here. But it would lean nicely with the Azir, and also just double down on some of the early game aggression that things like the Renekton are able to put on the table.
Well, now that the Aphelios is taken away, we're sliding closer towards that. As I will say, he's been an Aphelios Andy throughout the regular season, as a lot of players in the bot side have been. With that taken away, Lyric, we're starting to talk about things like the Ashe. He's played Kog'Maw, Lucian, as you mentioned, the Varus is there. Tristana also still available. That's usually a first or a second rotation here, even in this patch. So, interestingly enough, it's not going to be banned just yet with the Alistar taken away from Missing. I feel like that's a ban that throughout the series we'll see against both of these supports who are very proficient on the pick.
Also makes me wonder if they are trying to lean towards that Rel on 4, right? Because Alistar ban usually coming out against the Rel. So there it is. JDG do take that one away. So now I'm interested in seeing where they lean. We've already highlighted things like the Ezreal and Varus both still being on the table. And it really would just kind of change the way they end up playing. Again, when you have things like the Explosive Cask and the LeBlanc, I like the idea of having more mobility, but they're going to wait to show their hand for now, just wanting to pick up the Engage support and make sure that JDG don't get their hands on more Engage and more Lockdown.
Well, Brom might change as a pick as well, Lyric. Thinking about how to run something like the Virus into this comp, things are already looking a little bit difficult, as missing on the Brom is a classic here to set up the 2v2. But my question goes towards jungle. Kanavi hasn't showed his hand yet. Kanavi has played a unique champion throughout his playoff series thus far. The Kindred is being looked at. I mean, again, you can never tell with this guy. It could literally be Urgot jungle, for all I know at this point.
Yeah, it would. With Kanavi, you're just always left guessing. I like the idea of him getting his hands on a carry when you already have what could be a pretty sufficient front line, though you do expect 369 to go towards the AP variant of the Gragas. That's the one he likes to lean on. So we're going to get strong mid-jungle coming through with the Lee Sin. I mean, you have double AP soul lanes, right? So you definitely have a plethora of options in where you're able to look early. I've really been honing in on this Ezreal because you just have so many threats you have to worry about on the side of JDG. So I like that BLG end up going with this one instead of a more immobile pick that would make Elk's life a living hell.
Oh, man, he wouldn't be able to move, wouldn't be able to do a thing, but with the Lee Sin on the other side, still going to be curious as to how this gets played out, because Lyric, Elk left with limited options in the end. I think you need to run me through how this comp operates, because I see some kind of front to back. I see some range to play through, but I'm kind of wondering how it all pieces together for BLG to kick us off.
Yeah, I think definitely the longer the game goes on is like where BLG are feeling best, right? You have Azir plus Ezreal. You're going to have a very competent front line with not only Sejuani Renekton, but if the game goes late enough to where Nautilus is picking up items too. It just feels like the comp is very well-rounded to where for JDG, even if you still have a lot of those team fighting elements there, right? You have Azir, you're going to be able to poke and prod with something like a LeBlanc. Definitely feels to me like they're more skirmish heavy, especially if they end up opting into the AP Gragas, because an AP Gragas, LeBlanc, Lee Sin, a lot of burst, a lot of mid-game damage, and that's where JDG are really going to want to take over.
And I think assault angles as well is fair to say for JDG, right? Like, there are so many different angles you have to watch in these fights, in the skirmishes you're talking about, because BLG can get picked apart.
Yeah, I mean, just so much mobility, right? So many different ways to jump over walls, play with Fog of War. So things like the Vision game are going to be so crucial here, especially for BLG when they want JDG right in front of them and they need to see where they are. Or, you know, the possibility of those flanks, the possibility of like a Lee Sin, you know, kick flash coming from behind you, or an explosive cask being thrown from somewhere really can just divide up their team. So a lot of it's going to come down to that, and I feel like it's great when we have what are the two best team fighting teams in the league going head-to-head with two compositions that want to scrap.
I mean, BLG, it was a series against top esports, ending Elk with a pentakill and 16k damage. On as well with the beautiful engage that ended it all. Deserves credit through and through. Yagao having an insane series. Shunt and Bin have been instrumental to their success too. As BLG this year, I said it before, guys, if you're wondering what's at stake, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. BLG throughout the year have not been able to trump over JDG. It's been 2-3 in round 4 in double elim in spring. It was 1-3 versus JDG in spring finals. It was 1-3 at the MSI finals versus Jingdong as well. Regular season in both spring and summer, BLG have not been able to beat this Jingdong gaming unit. Here for a spot at Worlds, for the first ever spot this year at Worlds, as we are way ahead of the curve. It's BLG versus JDG to see if BLG can end the curse against their new rivals, or if JDG remains solid to head towards that golden road and lock in their place in finals, in top 2 at Worlds, and into a championship again.
I'm really looking at, like I said, kind of mids coming into today. This is actually going to be the 21st time, like 21st series, where Knight and Yagao have played against each other since they've come into the LPL. Not counting things like the Masi Cup, NEST, but hell, that makes the number even more ridiculous. If you're just counting LPL and international competition, 21st series up against each other. I mean, hell, you think back to last year where they were in a similar position. Upper bracket final, then both made it to the grand final. Of course, Yagao getting the best of Knight that time, but these two, just such a storied history now. LeBlanc versus Ear, a matchup where Knight going to want to be aggressive, going to want to find avenues to get ahead. You expect a lot of violence.
You really do. As Yagao, as you said, part of that team fighting unit that BLG have built towards. Also, Lyric, to mention, things like range for the Azir and Ezreal. It's going to be fun to see how it plays out as they try and avoid some of those pivoting angles that this composition of JDG is going to do so well. Lyric, just quickly on the story before we go any further, before we start talking a little bit more about the 2v2 that's going to end in a dredge line, we all know. Yagao and Knight, by the way, both their first MSI coming through. Yagao and Knight both hopping on that in 2023 this year. World's #2 for both Knight and Yagao. 2 LPL championships each. Knight has not picked up an LPL championship out of those other 3 that he's attended. It's funny that these guys grew up together, and right now they're pretty much hitting the exact same accolades apart from a championship here and there.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, they've just been going toe-to-toe. Ever since really 2020, despite the fact that they played against each other, you know, 2019, 2018 spring, things like that. Really, since 2020, these two have just been the kind of the gold standard of what it means to be a mid laner in the LPL.
Yep.
And kind of looking at other lanes, right? We can already see now BLG doing a nice job of finding some early trades. When you have things like Ezreal on one side, Braum on the other, you don't really expect too much heavy trading coming through, but BLG really wanting to be aggressive, and JDG going to be getting the better of it so far.
Ruler is 14-1 on Xayah. I'm assuming that's just in the LPL. But hot damn, I know they're a winning team, Lyric, but that is a scoreline as Bin on Renekton on Nautilus, I guess, hits the same note.
It makes sense that all these are so high, right? I mean, BLG only lost one series in the regular season, and it was 2 JDG, so we have a lot of high win rates as Elk. Flash going to need to come out so early.
Oh, it's matched though by On. Ruler getting aggressed on as the root comes back, but they're getting so low to continue this Clasm as Elk is looking for it. He has Flash available.
Ooh.
Mystic shot hits, and Missing is close to dying, but holds onto his Summoner.
And this is what, you know, BLG and JDG are able to deliver. Now Kanavi, we're going to see if he finds it. Safeguard might not be up yet, or just waiting for Elk to come a bit more forward.
Shun spotted out. He's looking to Arctic Assault in, but again, looking for Kanavi as well, it seems, as over the wall. He's seen, he's waiting, and Sonic Wave does connect. He wants to take the Q onto Elk, so he walks back in range, but that gives Shun time as Dredgeline flashed away from Kanavi with a big mistake, and Shun in the right place at the right time.
I'm a little bit surprised, throwing down the ward, safeguarding, not even towards his AD carry. Does mean he has to blow the Flash at the end of the day, and now BLG just coming out ahead in all the trading we've seen on bot side so far, but we can see it being equalized a little bit with what's happening in mid lane. Small CS lead for Knight, and definitely getting the better of that last trade, but he's going to need to do more to make up for some of the summoners already seeing being traded in bot side. Actually, I guess JDG didn't blow any summoners, right? They were very patient. It was BLG aggressively blowing summoners. Yeah,
I mean, Flash, Ignite down, heal down from Elk, so in the grand scheme of things, considering that wave didn't crash in, maybe it's not the worst, as Knight versus Yagao is where we turn our new focus, with Knight just setting up a massive wave into this mid lane Azir. And already you can see that Knight is showing us why this LeBlanc has been respect banned, as Lyric, you know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, 369, he's angling for it. Shun's not far, though.
It's a body slam, isn't it? That's what we have to wait for, as that damage is huge with Grasp available. Kanavi in, Tempest, Cripple. Bin getting close to getting 369, but Kanavi makes sure he doesn't. First blood over to Lee Sin, and after bot side, that is a warm reward for JDG.
And having that control ward coming in clutch so we can ward hop to it, right? Didn't have the flash up if that one wasn't there. So they do find first blood, and we were hitting on it for JDG, wanting to find the early gold lead. A lot of it going to have to come from mid-jungle, and they're doing it separately. I mean, Kanavi just working towards his side lane so far. Knight locked in that 1v1. And I wonder if JDG might try to use some of the pressure that they're finding in jungle to set up for an early dragon, because we can see Kanavi heading back to this side of the map right now.
And they know that Shun is probably going to be here as well. Again, all those wards towards topside to spot out the Raptor camps down, Lyric. And that naturally, Shun probably will be pathing towards this lane as well. So for JDG, information gathered, while wards on the other side for BLG aren't really there. Jungler in MIA right now, as Kanavi was just getting that topside first blood, and now walking down himself. Can Shun really do anything as he tries to pop his head in?
We're going to see. He's definitely going to find out where Kanavi is, try and get a ward down. And, I mean, he doesn't have the ability to do much unless he looks for a gank mid, which he's going to go for.
I mean, Knight wanted to get a bit greedy. He did distortion forward, but he's now level 6. However, that is on cooldown. But he's too fast to get away from Shun, who pops his little head in after the gank.
I like that Shun ends up looking mid, try and get the reset available for Yagao. He's going to be able to do that one. Also prevents if JDG were going to try and end up looking for any kind of like early cheeky Drake with the fact that they bought and mid pressures. Missing. He's fine. Kanavi not far away.
Yep. As you said, about the Dragon. Kanavi is in position to start this one up. Remember, he did get first blood, so back with a longsword and a ruby crystal as we go back towards topside. Just waiting for Bin to pop the ulti, but he's holding onto it for a little bit of a while. There we go. Explosive cast doesn't send Bin into the turrets. Meanwhile, we go back down here. It's 3v2 for the time being, but Kanavi is going to be the backup to bring on in. The feathers will fly, but no root down. As Missing's almost dead. BLG thinking about going forward, but Concussive Blow stops it as now with the Ghost to get away. Missing going to be rooted out. He flashes eventually. Holding onto those summoners was a lifeline for JDG's 2v2. As Kanavi getting into the thick of it, threatens for more. Elk is so close to going down as Ruler has his flash available. A root in to get the kill, and he does! With his dying breath, Kanavi can't save him, but he sets up for a double on his AD.
The summoner difference, Missing still having that flash to get away, survives on a sliver of HP, and now Ruler picking up 2 of those kills. Shun was the one who got, the one on the side of BLG, and now a wave going to be denied from Elk too. So definitely JDG coming out better off the end of that exchange. And now look, 2-0-2 on the Lee Sin, 2-1-1 on the Zaya. JDG are feeling good. And we're going to see the replay of how it all went down because I like the Kanavi leaning towards mid. That's where, his prio is and like the aggression that comes up from LeBlanc. And BLG find an opportunity to find a gank on this bottom lane. Once again, I was incredibly surprised that JDG are being so patient with the summoners they find, but it's on here who finds the initial hook. Elk even flashing in, but missing just too fast with the fingers. But Kanavi with the Sonic Wave finds the first. And then I love the confidence from JDG to run this one down. In my mind, I'm thinking, Ruler, you are definitely going to go down here, but gets enough feathers down to pull them back and find the kill before he does.
That safeguard on Missing, by the way, that's what kept him alive, because he got autoed by Elk. That last auto would have got the kill onto the JDG support. Yeah. So, again, that small fight has just now changed the dynamic of the game. That Kanavi hovering towards bot side has led to success, 2-0-2. But Ruler now as well, with his sick play, sets up for a gold lead of about 1k for JDG as we now look towards Herald to potentially do it all again.
Yeah, looking across, I mean, we have ults up across the board. Only On doesn't have it, so that actually might be an advantage for JDG if their bot lane gets here in time.
Jumping onto On first, no depth charge available as Winter's Bite, but Missing has his ult. That's the difference. Elk caught out, he can't get out fast enough. And so Yagao, with his Empress Divide, sends away JDG as BLG will find themselves a cheeky Herald on the backside, but it costs their 80 carrier. Kill goes over tonight, and Jing Dong still continue charging forward in this early game.
And yeah, Elk just being caught out. The difference in certain things like those ults, right? Missing having that one available. I believe it was Damwon who, again, used to just like hover around mid lane, get their ult on support first, and then move over to those Herald fights. And that's when the world really learned just kind of the difference that one's able to make. And now Static Shiv picked up by Night, Gorge Drinker by Kanavi, getting some incredibly early items online. We're going to see how it happens because BLG actually ended up getting here first, so wanting to try to find some trades on tonight. But we see, very good job. Kanavi finds the kick in. We have the Braum ult coming out. And then if it wasn't for the Emperor's Divide, I believe JDG would have been able to find more.
And props to 369. The flash body slams will start it off as On is coming in red hot, but unfortunately, Ruler, without burning the summoner this game, has managed to escape so many terrible situations.
And I don't know what it is, how JDG just lives so rent-free in BLG's head. Like you said, 6 times so far they played this year. JDG won every time. Maybe find another kill and just get themselves even closer to making it a potential 7th.
Well, as they walk up towards Dragon, this early game is going to continue to snowball ahead as Shun wasn't spotted out, but he knows what's going on down in this pit. Unable to do anything, it seems like, with Knight pressuring off Yagao. Dragon is just going to be taken and give the first one over to JDG for bonus stats.
And I love that this game is already delivering exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah.
You know, I went into the lab earlier, walked up to the database, and I saw, these teams, as you'd expect, the 2 Bloodies teams in the LPL, both 1 and 2 in champion kills per minute. Yep. G being slightly over 1, JDG being slightly under. And so far, I mean, 6 kills already in this first 10 minutes, faster than a lot of the games we've had so far in playoffs. It's been great.
But again, it's a great showcase. It's been like that all year as well.
Yeah, yeah, and it just goes to show, right? Both teams really want to prove themselves. And we've already pointed out items in favor of JDG. BLG are the ones that have the Herald, though. It's going to be hard to find an easy opportunity to use it. They're already getting pressured in both mid and bot.
Oh my God.
So top really might be the only place you can look, unless they're going to be able to get some kind of sneaky gank off with Shun. But Kanavi's been the one creating forward pressure this whole time.
He is spotted out as well, doesn't care that BLG see him. It's a sonic wave to threaten a potential dive, as Shun now just has to hover nearby. And look, it's this bottom lane as well, Lyric, as Depth Charge going to be used on a Ruler, True Shot Barrage, but it's avoided by the Feathers flying out as On engages, but the Feathers right
TP
behind
from
BLG's
Ping.
bottom lane. They arcade shift in, but you're right, BLG are unrelenting as the ulti over the wall slows them down at the very least. Bin needs a kill here as the flash over the wall into missing, but Ruler still with flash himself makes it hard to get in with the Dragon's Rage out as well. BLG committed so much, JDG are like invincible.
Yeah, they committed every member down to that bot lane. We just got flash from Shun. We got a ton of ults across the board. Knight even still going to be able to clear the wave in mid and time. 369 getting plates topside. JDG gaining so much off this field play.
I mean, again, BLG might not be hitting the mark, but you have to be real as your gal. Ulti dodged away by Knight. It continues. He goes into the Mimic here as following through Kanavi to save the day, but Bin is rotating down, flashes over. He's sick of it. But Kanavi plays it in. Knight jumps back out. He's missing. JDG
Look at all this mobility.
Toying with the dance, my pretties, dance.
They even just pulled out more summoners, right? They pulled out Bin's flash, not having to really use anything to get away from it. He was losing even more CS in topside. He's not behind 369 because, of course, he did have a lead when he TP'd down from top, but it's still like you're losing so much on the map. Losing so many summoners, and we're really seeing the annoyance of the Gragas, Lee Sin, LeBlanc, Braum, and just their ability to kind of wiggle around any situation they get themselves into.
Oh, it's so painful to watch from BLG's angle. I mean, resource after resource thrown out. The Herald, yes, dropped, but Lyric, the gold is still in JDG's favor. 369 is pushing turret against a Renekton. Knight is destroying lane. And that 2v2 has been so eventful against BLG that this 0-2 in Ezreal pales at the moment a bit in comparison to this one-item Xayah on Ruler that is now, we know, set up to carry another game.
I mean, we even know, right, he went cold first, so he's even going to have, like, more gold on top of that. I love the 369. Yeah. Feeling ambitious enough to just walk through the jungle, but look at the vision they got in topside. And even before that, Knight was covering from mid lane. So they knew exactly everything that was going on around top, which is why 369 was able to play the way he was. And now they're just going to be able to keep it going. So for JDG now, just waiting for these next neutral objectives to spawn. Herald's going to be up pretty soon. We have the next Dragon in a minute and a half. So if JDG can stagger those into one another, they're really just going to be able to push this game further at such an insane speed.
And we talked about the early game for both these teams being a bit of an identity. They both snowball in as Bin going to try something, but again, pretty hard against the Gragas right now, especially without your first item. But Lyric, it's been early games that snowball 89 to 92% of the time on average for both of these guys. So once they hold an early game lead, they run with it. And as we were saying at the start of the show, BLG, it's been a bit of a crux as Bin is used to this. Kanavi visiting topside on the regular with the Tempest Cripple, but he can't finish the job yet as Bin buys a bit more time, but a Sonic Wave still connects, and Kanavi, of course, will follow it through. 369 absorbs the damage, and yet again, another right thing in the early game for Jingdong.
And pushing in bot side, I was looking at the minimap the whole time too. Knight was kind of using distortion over that Raptor wall to keep trying to put pressure on Yagao. Because of the play they made topside, though, they are going to have to go for a reset. So it looks like BLG acknowledging that they've had to lose bot, are just going to start sending their bot lane duo up here now. Honor already here, Elk in mid lane. So at least not going to try to not allow JDG to get this objective. But look, 369 TP's in.
And look, TP is not available on Bin, who just respawned. So even though Herald goes down with a Sonic Wave or at least a kick, something could happen. But they've found Knight with the depth charge, trying to run out. He's clipped on the back end. And now Elk has an opportunity as finally BLG sink their fangs in for what feels like the first time this game.
BLG punishing the fact that JDG were trying to pinch them in that play, and Knight left by himself. BLG have a ton of CC to play with, and thanks to that, they're actually going to end up picking up a mid lane turret. So BLG not only get their first kill, they get their first turret, and slowly trying to claw back within reach for gold.
And so remember, Lyric, you talked about the comps at the start of this game, you know, a bit of front to back, an easier comp to execute, if you will. BLG also getting a dragon here to stall out the game. And so we get further towards that condition where people like Yagao Elk can weave their shots through this heavy front line and play out a game on a more standard state. So at least for JDG, despite having the early game, we know that due to the win condition, due to the comps, BLG, they're not really out until they're like 6, 7k gold out and losing inhib turrets at 20 minutes.
Yeah, and hell, I was just saying a few minutes ago, right? If JDG get Herald, JDG get Dragon, they could just start snowballing the game here. But because of this pick, that doesn't happen. Knight trying to come in, doesn't expect on in the brush, gets CC down, great dredge line, great ultimate, doesn't manage to escape thanks to the Ignite. And then now JDG going to have to back off. You're even missing some cooldowns from the previous top lane gank where 369 and Kanavi had killed the Renekton. So, funnily enough, despite the fact that they got that kill top and ended up getting turret right, some of the tempo they lost on that play gave BLG the window to set up for the play on Herald, and then Knight's misstep led to the Dragon. So great sequence of events from BLG.
And so let's just take a quick look at items from BLG at that point as well, because we have first item across the board for everyone apart from On. Elk with the Trinity Force here on the Ezreal, and now starts building towards the second. For JDG, we'll talk about first items for a little bit, as they are still the ones with the gold lead here in this game. About half an item, now full item through mid for Knight. So there is still threat there as a Night Harvester picked up for the side lane presence as he TP's in Lyric, and JDG want to open this map up by taking mid. Ooh,
Putting a lot of pressure on Elk.
It's okay for now. At the very least, Shun hovering as well, but turret's going to go down.
Yeah, they do a nice job. You can see where Yagao and Bin are on the minimap to where they know 4 members of JDG are on mid, 369 not showing on a side lane. They have to end up giving that one away in the end. And now we're at a point to where BLG, like you said, getting all of their first items online. JDG, they've had items. I also want to highlight the fact that 369 did go tank, despite the fact that I thought he'd go AP, because it feels like 369 just always that guy who wants to try and style on you and just, one-shot you when he's on the Gragas. But I think this kind of lends itself to, giving themselves a stable front line and being able to take some of these fights in the mid-game much better. So I like that one coming through. To where regardless, the longer this goes on, you look at the consistent DPS that BLG have, it's going to be pretty hard, but they have to be able to get there because you said they're fine as long as they can stay within like 6, 7k gold. Well, right now they're down to 4, so they don't have much room left to kind of play with.
No, it was optimism at least to keep BLG, I guess, honest to where their game state is. But the honest truth is that JDG are still the ones in lead. They're still the ones with control in this game. I mentioned 2-item LeBlanc there for Knight, but Ruler has now also picked up Navori Quickblades before Elk is able to get his second item. So still an advantage down towards that bottom side, as it's also CS that's bringing that into a nice gold advantage for JDG. And as we said, it's already started out perfectly. This series could not be a bigger banger to kick us off. As now into the mid-game Lyric, I want to see where the action pursues, because JDG are just taking over this topside jungle, giving 369 a bit of breathing room and clearing out vision as they go.
Yeah, at least not finding this one ward from BLG. So BLG going to be able to keep up some, at least some level of consistent information with missing being around this part of the map. And for BLG, that's really the name of the game right now, right? As long as they aren't pressuring anything like a Baron, they're nowhere near something like Soul Point, get a defensive vision line down and wait for BLG to overstep and try and find a pick from there.
JDG trying to entice them into one on the top side, but Bin not going to bring in the rest of BLG as Missing hangs back. But again, that vision being played around with the control ward that he sits on. No one's nearby. If BLG ran into this by accident, it'd be trouble as Yagao. He's going to lose his, not crown, but rather lose the shielding from Shifting Sands. As Knight continues hovering over the sideline Lyric, this LeBlanc is chunky right now. Yagao's been suffering the onslaught all game long.
And this is one of the things that JDG are just doing so well, right? Is kind of pulling BLG across the map. It's even allowing for times when, like, we saw earlier, once when Ruler was resetting, Missing just pushing in for vision by himself. Because Knight 369 are putting up so much pressure on sides that you're constantly seeing where members like Bin, Yagao, and Shun are.
Here comes On, though. Wait for the engage hook to come through. It's what killed Knight before. Distortion forward. On thinking about getting over the wall.
Minimap.
Ping's already
Other
there.
members of JDG.
They know that they're pivoting for a play. It's like an intuition. On, caught out, dredge line there, concussive blows. He has to flash over the wall as Kanavi was now within range. JDG, I'm not sure if that was vision, Lyric, but it must have been either the deep ward or just intuition.
I also think it's because Knight was going and applying any pressure on the map, so BLG should be looking for the answer there. Is this gonna turn into anything, you think?
He's got Jack Show the protein shake. Body slams there, but Ben should be able to survive this. It's a slow burn down. A slice of dice gets him out of there, but 369 takes 0 damage from this Renekton right now as JDG pick up the Dragon on the bottom side. So a win-win throughout the map continuously for JDG.
Yeah, and BLG needing to use this window to desperately clear out some of the vision control that JDG had been able to gain. I wonder if Knight and Kanavi are going to be a little bit more bold and trying to set up for a dive here.
What a pain. What an absolute pain. Even able to take out the control ward as well. Kanavi taking out jungle camps as we go through. Starting to build a CS lead by his own right. I mean, again, JDG, it's that individual skill so far, Lyric. Even though BLG have showcased it too, JDG has just been what this whole year's been about. It is a super team through and through. Each player does their part through and through. And even in his first game, it's just skill.
Yeah, it's only game 1, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But I am just quite shocked at, you know, the amount of control that JDG have been able to assert so far. Again, BLG not down and out, you know, a few thousand gold down, but I think they've done a nice job to mostly stabilize.
But Missing trying to save the day on to Ruler. He doesn't burn anything afterwards. True Shot Barrage as Ruler holds onto the summoners, but not the ulti. How can you burn a summoner out of this man? As Sonic Wave connects, he runs into the fray. Kanavi playing it dangerous as Ruler heads into the front line versus 3. He picks up another kill, and I mean, talking about class. It's Knight in the side lane. It's Ruler in these plays. JDG continues sipping on the wine.
His Featherstorm timings are always so good, and we can see in the left-hand corner.
Oh my god. Yagao over the wall sends Kanavi, but now Elk's in trouble. Sonic Wave connects. He has to flash heal, running away from 2 members. JDG are an army. These guys worth 300 soldiers, as maybe not yet, as 369 might be in trouble. Kanavi already dead, but Knight jumps into the fray onto Yagao. He's looking for his next target, trying to auto him to death, but Knight will drop before Yagao joins him in the grave. And just like that, as I talk up JDG, they go way too far to test BLG.
Bin even TP'd behind Ruler in the mid lane, so you were saying, what does it take to get this man summoners? Well, Bin figured it out, Ruler having to flash and ghost away. Luckily, he didn't go down too, but BLG, nice, you know, force on. They see JDG wanting to aggress in their jungle, they look for the big play, they find it, and now, not only the kills, but again, I feel like some of the summoners that won't be up for the next dragon fight are going to be so important as Yagao. Being a little bit cheeky here, JDG were hoping to punish him, but it's that Emperor's Divide pushing him into the other members. It looked bad at first because you're pushing them right into your AD carry with Shun, not really off to the angle to be able to defend. But still, you're a man down. We can see on the minimap, like I said, Ruler being forced away by Bin. And then sure, Knight comes in, he's able to find one, but nice job, a bodyguard by Shun to allow Yagao to survive and find another kill.
No chains to get past that big Sejuani, so Yagao gets himself into the game in a firm grasp with a kill now picked up as Missing says no to the True Shot Barrage, but Lyric, we come back to live. JDG still with the gold lead, but they have to now entice the Baron as Knight just autoed, and that tickled quite a bit for BLG. Oh, ulti comes through. Hang on, we're not done yet. Onto Ruler this time. He has no flash, no ghost available. Bin jumps on the back line as he's kicked away. Kanavi saving the day, but BLG in a choke is the root. Oh, Ruler does it again. He's getting low with Missing at the hell, but it's another root. A root again. Shun jumps in, but his whole team is dead. To kill the king, you must sacrifice everything.
And Kanavi starting up by saving the day. Knight comes in and deals the damage. And now they only might be 3 members strong, but JDG are going to be able to turn this into a Baron.
Insanity. I mean, LCK fans have just been living it up having this guy over there. What an absolute joy to watch him play throughout this year. In his debut year in the LPL. We'll watch again. I know Knight had a big hand in that play as well. Does JDG will have a big hand in this first game? Getting Baron on 4? No, Lyric. It's going to be all 5 members.
Yeah, doing a nice job waiting around and them not expecting it. Trying to throw that True Shot Barrage up towards top side. And now, perfect time. Dragon's up in 40 seconds. You're going to be able to use these Baroned up minions to gain prio. We're going to see here BLG knowing what they want to force to play because they got the summoners from Ruler before. So I love it. The all-in comes out. You get the ulti. And then here's where everything looked bad until the kick comes out from Kanavi. Ends up saving Ruler's life. So he's able to keep getting off DPS and taking people like that out. But Knight coming out on the back end finds the root. Great feathers from Ruler too. And then just having enough burst to delete the rest of BLG.
He rooted 5 people. And he did it again. The rest were rooted because Navori quick plays exist. So even though Ruler goes down, I mean, again, absolute insanity with the angle, but also BLG walking into that spot, playing with fire, it feels like. As now with Baron in hand, with the gold lead in hand, at 27 minutes, this Dragon will lead to Soul Point. As JDG look to push through the Sun Turret in mid after moving with that last mountain. As Knight continues to be a threat, and Lyric, at this point, now it's about assaulting some of these side lanes and getting this inner mid. As Yagao jumps in, might have found missing. Everyone from BLG pounces. Knight tries to get Yagao in the midst of 5 people. He has to flash his dredge line. Actually ran into a minion wave, but Knight steps back on up. Explosive Cask is there. JDG playing from angles, but BLG are the ones who find the pickers on. Continues looking for more.
Yeah, just tickling him for now. And JDG still feeling confident because they have this Baron buff, and Knight going to be able to do a lot of the heavy lifting now. I still think they got to be a little bit cautious considering that 369 doesn't have that explosive cast. But the cavalry coming in.
They're not being careful, Lyric. Not at all. Onto Kanavi now. Look, as 369 body slams in. Yagao's one who's TP'd in, but he doesn't have Emperor's Divide. It's going to be a slow play from BLG, but Bin going too far forward, gets rooted up and dives the Ruler. Knight jumps in all the way to the back. He teleports on the face of On. As 369 never says die. Must be James Bond as Ruler. Ult under turret. This guy is a psychopath. Kanavi finishes the job. But this guy's got gusto as into the Gore Drinker. He'll still die, but JDG are like suicide bombers at this point. One goes down, another to replace, and BLG just can't catch a break.
That was a 4v5. JDG simply do not care. And now On might be up in 6 seconds, but I think they should be able to find the end.
God damn, the class from this game number 1. From JDG members as a 5-man unit. BLG don't know what hit them. Or maybe they do, Lyric. It's been a year of dealing with this. As for game number 1 at the very least, JDG kicked us off with a very familiar bang.
Yeah, and just great performances across the board. Ruler, you were highlighting a lot of. He was doing the 5-man roots coming through. Knight, I think, another exceptional performance. Like, he was the one dishing out all the damage. I loved his pressure on the map. But like I said, Kanavi, one of the people who really didn't, wasn't a bad series, but didn't have, the Kanavi series you expected in that last one against LNG. Tarzan definitely was the better performing jungler. This game, a man on a mission. The early game was beautiful, creating all the action. Even the one team fight where we were praising Ruler and, he